For decades, the pyramids have inspired a second, stranger question. Were they only monuments, or also clues to contact with beings from elsewhere? Supporters say the scale and precision still invite debate. The claim begins with awe at ancient engineering. Long before modern aviation, people looked at these structures and wondered how such massive stones were planned, moved and aligned with such apparent confidence. In the 20th century, writers and enthusiasts linked those questions to ancient astronaut ideas. They argued that unusual precision, myths of sky beings, and global pyramid forms pointed to something beyond conventional history. The people in this story are not only archaeologists, but also authors, engineers, pilots, and local communities living near these monuments. Each group has brought different assumptions, evidence, and standards of proof. Supporters often point to legends describing gods descending from the sky and teaching order, measurement, or kingship. Skeptics counter that myths can preserve memory without describing literal visitors from space. The modern fascination spread through books, television, and public lectures, where pyramids became symbols of mystery. Once the idea entered popular culture, it was repeated far beyond the original evidence. One strongest argument from believers is the apparent engineering discipline. They note straight edges, careful orientation, and the enormous labor required, then ask whether advanced guidance could have helped. Researchers and archaeologists respond that ancient societies were capable of remarkable organization. They point to quarry marks, transport methods, labor records, and generations of practical knowledge accumulated over time. Some supporters focus on alignments with stars and cardinal directions. They argue that such precision suggests knowledge that is difficult to explain without outside assistance or a lost technical tradition. Skeptics answer that careful observation of the sky does not require modern technology. Many ancient cultures tracked seasons, navigation, and ritual calendars with impressive accuracy using long-term observation. The story also draws strength from comparison. Around the world, pyramid-like structures appear in different eras, and believers say that shared form hints at a shared source of inspiration. But similar shapes can emerge for practical reasons. Broad bases, stable slopes, and monumental visibility make pyramidal forms a logical choice for large ceremonial buildings in many cultures. In official archaeology, the emphasis remains on human agency. Excavations, tool studies, and settlement remains show a complex society capable of planning, administration, and sustained construction. That does not end the mystery for everyone. Supporters argue that some questions, especially about motivation and symbolic meaning, are still open even if the builders were entirely human. The strongest emotional pull of the claim is simple. These monuments feel larger than the surviving explanations. For many viewers, that gap leaves room for speculation, even when evidence is thin. Yet the weak points are equally important. Many ancient astronaut arguments rely on inference, selective comparisons, or modern assumptions about what ancient people could not have done. Some claims also blur together different cultures and time periods. Skeptics say that when details are simplified, the result can be a dramatic story that outpaces the historical record. There is also the problem of missing evidence. Extraordinary claims would need clear physical traces, but supporters usually point instead to patterns, interpretation, and unanswered questions. Media coverage helped turn uncertainty into legend. Once documentaries and magazines framed the pyramids as cosmic puzzles, the idea gained a lasting place in popular imagination. Believers say that public dismissal can itself be a mistake. They argue that history often begins with ridicule before evidence is fully understood, so they prefer to keep the question open. Skeptics reply that openness should not replace standards. In their view, the burden remains on those making the extraordinary claim to provide direct, testable evidence. The case also shaped broader UFO culture by linking sky mysteries to ancient history. That connection helped create a long-running genre where monuments, myths, and unidentified lights are folded together. For some audiences, the appeal is not just evidence, but narrative. The idea offers a dramatic origin story in which humanity received knowledge from outside itself, instead of inventing everything alone. That narrative can be powerful, but it can also flatten real cultures. Historians warn that attributing achievements to outsiders may unintentionally minimize the skill and creativity of ancient builders. What remains unresolved is not whether the pyramids are impressive, but how far interpretation should go. The monuments still invite questions, yet questions alone are not the same as proof. The most responsible position is probably a narrow one. Ancient societies achieved extraordinary things, and some details still deserve study, but the leap to non-human builders is not established. Even so, the ancient astronaut claim persists because it sits at the intersection of wonder and uncertainty. Pyramids remain visible reminders that the past can feel both familiar and remote. That is why the discussion continues in books, podcasts, and museum debates. Each new generation revisits the same stones and asks whether they tell a purely human story. At its best, the debate encourages curiosity about ancient engineering and cultural memory. At its worst, it can replace careful research with confident speculation. The pyramids do not need mystery added to them to be remarkable. Their human history is already enough to inspire admiration, study, and a fair amount of humility. Still, the ancient astronaut claim has become part of modern folklore. It survives because it offers a simple answer to a difficult question, even when the evidence stays incomplete. In the end, the pyramids remain what they have always been: powerful, unfinished in meaning, and open to interpretation. The mystery lies not in certainty, but in the questions we keep asking.